Hey guys, Professor Matt here with an overview of Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is Convergence and Integrated Communication. Okay, one of the things that makes our profession so exciting is that it has changed dramatically over the last 20 to 30 years, maybe the last 10 years. So, whereas most professions kind of enjoy this sort of steady progression, our profession in public relations has been interrupted or disrupted to a huge degree. And you can imagine why. We've got social media, which has really changed the way that things are done, and mobile technology. And each one of those categories gets a chapter by itself. But this chapter talks about some key things that we need to know in terms of how things have converged in our profession. So one thing you have to know is that a lot of times now when we talk about jobs and public relations, we talk about jobs in integrated strategic communications or integrated communications. What does integrated mean? Well, it means that it's public relations, advertising, and marketing today are much more synergistic. We're working together. There are some distinctives, though. We're going to talk about what makes them different, but we're going to talk about why they are starting to come together and why you and your profession might be doing advertising and marketing as well as public relations. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things. One, there's different kinds of convergences, and I'll let you guys look at that. But one I'm looking at here is the economic convergence. Starting back in the 1970s or so, major PR firms that still were run by their founders started to get sucked up by international global communications conglomerates. Today, almost every single large PR firm is actually part of a global communication conglomerate that has advertising, marketing, and PR. The only big independent PR firm that I know about is Edelman PR, and they're still the largest independent PR firm in the world. Now, why would they do that? Well, the economic convergence means that it's just made sense financially for these companies all to come under one umbrella. So you have a client that comes to you and says they have a communication need. You can offer advertising, you can offer PR, you can offer marketing, and a whole host of other things that make it a really sound economic model. Okay, so you're going to see that. You can look on there and see which of the firms are just like 5 or 6 top ones today that actually have most of the other ones. Professional convergence means that again, our jobs in public relations, we're doing a lot of stuff that typically was at one time it was under the sole purview of advertising or marketing. Now we're doing a lot of things that might be considered one of those. Okay, so that means that your skill set in public relations needs to be broader because the expectation is you're doing a lot more things than were traditionally thought of in PR. Okay, so let's talk about advertising for a minute. One of the key differences in advertising versus, let's say, publicity is that advertising is paid and controlled, and publicity is unpaid and uncontrolled. Okay, you see the difference? Now, of course, what you get when you do advertising is you get control over the exact contents of the message, when it's going to be placed, and where it's going to be placed. Okay, and that's a key thing. Sometimes you need to be able to have the key messages that you want to go out at a particular time and a particular place. But here's one of the mistakes that is made, is that some PR people over the years have tried to equate advertising to publicity. And so they try to measure the value of publicity with what's called advertising value equivalency, AVE. Now, what it does, it says here's the scenario: is that okay? If you were going to purchase an ad in the Wall Street Journal, let's say, and it was 6 column inches, you'd say, well, what would that advertisement cost in that publication? And let's just say that advertisement cost $100,000. So your piece of publicity got that same space in the Wall Street Journal. Now, what people who used to do the AVE form of evaluation would say, well, publicity is more valuable than advertising because publicity is more credible. In fact, the term that we use is third party credibility. It's not you talking about it. It's not someone else. It's someone else who's not getting paid by you to say good things about your company. So these people would say, okay, well, that's probably worth 3 times what advertising is worth. So the problem is, again, is that we're talking about apples and oranges. Advertising paid and controlled, publicity unpaid, uncontrolled. So today, anybody that's still doing advertising equivalency is I'd say you want to look at them suspiciously because there's far greater ways to measure the value of publicity. Now, it's AVEs is you know it's not accurate at best. It's deceptive at worst. So just want to make sure that you know that we're not doing advertising equivalency anymore as a legitimate way to measure the value of publicity. Okay, so marketing is really concerned about the transaction, selling products to a customer. Okay, but it's interesting that one of the things that's happened in marketing is they've realized that interruptive marketing, throwing messages out in front of people, is no longer working. So what we hear about today, we have these terms like inbound marketing, content marketing, where they actually create content and they pull people in because they're creating content that is in alignment with what consumers are looking for. Now, we've always been about that. This is where the whole content creation thing comes into play. We've always been about content creation, and now marketing is saying that they're about content creation. So this is where there's not really a turf battle per se, but certainly people in PR need all to be about content marketing. Okay, so integration, integrated marketing communications. A lot of times, the way it's said is at times PR tactics may be applied in support of advertising, marketing, or sales promotion. At other times, the tools of advertising and marketing may be used as tools of public relations, and that's how it is integrated. Okay, so the chapter actually begins with the example of Red Bull. I've actually asked this of you in the discussion question: is Red Bull a drink company that makes content, or are they a content company that makes drinks? That's a question you need to know. But I would encourage you to go to the Red Bull website. I think it's Red Bull Ads Wings, something like that. Go look up Red Bull blog, and you're going to see that they have tons of stories. None of it has to do with their product, their drink, but it's creating an idea, a value, a sense of like what that company's all about. So when you go look at their website and see extreme sports and music and other things, you're going to say, oh, people who like this kind of thing may like this this product. Okay, but we also have to talk about how these are different. So we talked in the beginning about convergence, things come together. Now we're talking about divergence, things going apart. So a few ways that PR is different at its core. First of all, in organization. Okay, marketing and advertising are primarily concerned with offerings, like what the company is what it makes, their services, their products, or whatever. PR is concerned about the organization as a whole, not just the products and the services. Another way that PR is different than marketing and advertising has to do with audiences. We're beyond audiences, right? Our job in PR is to build these long-term, mutually beneficial relationships with people who may never be the customers for this organization. Okay, it could be neighbors, legislators, employees, students, volunteers, competitors, voters, whatever it might be. Our job is to build relationships with them. Advertising and marketing is not concerned with that. And of course, and then that sort of flows into the next idea of divergence, is that public relations goes beyond sales. We do need to show how PR helps increase sales. Okay, that helps affect the bottom line. But maintaining relationships is an end unto itself to the degree that the organization's success and failure depends on healthy working relationships with all sorts of publics beyond customers. Okay, so that's a brief overview of chapter 3 on convergence, how we're similar, how we're integrating, and then how we're different. So go read the chapter, take the quiz, participate in the online discussion, and I'll see you next time.